We'll start here locally in New York with the Giants. Big draft for the Giants, obviously. They have 10 picks in the draft. Dave Gettleman probably, I'll say his job is dependent on how he drafts. Now, you could say what you want, and he does deserve a lot of flack for his free agent signings. Last year in the draft, he did pretty well. I would say, the rookies he developed was DeAndre Baker, came along slow, but started to pick up some steam towards the end of the year. He did all right with the draft picks that he had. Daniel Jones obviously looked better than what we all thought that he was drafted number 6. But the Giants, at least right now, hold the the number 4 overall pick. Excuse me. Talk for a living. That is scary. But so they have the number 4 overall pick. I understand a lot of people are talking about Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson, the really jack of all trades, the Swiss Army knife of the defense for Clemson, going to the Giants at number 4 here. This pick should be offensive line. Offensive line, offensive line, and offensive line. And here's why. At number 4, you have, at least you want to project the draft so far, you can have, assuming nothing crazy happens, you'll have Joe Burrow going to the Bengals. You have Chase Young going to the Redskins. Right now, you have the Lions taking, or everyone is assuming they're going to draft Jeff Okudah out of Ohio State, the cornerback. But if not, let's say the Lions trade out of that pick, maybe to the Dolphins or the Chargers or a team that wants a quarterback, you would presume that a team would trade up to number 3 to draft Alabama quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Meaning, the Giants have their pick of the litter of all the tackles in the draft, which you talk to any expert, you read any draft scouting, there are 4 tackles in this draft that are premier, that are at the top of their game. There's a wide gap between them and the rest of the tackle class. So right now the Giants, at number 4, could have the pick of the litter, take the best one in their mind, whether it's Tristan Wirfs, whether it's Jedrick Wills out of Alabama. They could have their pick of the litter and solidify their tackle, either right tackle, they want to slide over to left tackle, whatever they want to do. They can ensure they can have an anchor on the offensive line for the next 10 or 12 years. So, they had a decent offensive line last year. It wasn't terrible. Now, it helped that Daniel Jones was mobile. But again, you can really boost that offensive line and really give him, not just him, but Saquon Barkley also some extra running lanes by picking the best tackle that they think in this draft. They also have to address the center position, which we could do later on in the draft. But more importantly, specifically at number 4. I know Isaiah Simmons is a name talked about a lot going to the Giants. Dave Gettleman, he talks about it time and time again. Anytime really he can talk about the team. He talks about the offensive line, talks to the defensive line, he talks about getting hog mollies. Specifically, is what he wants. You have that chance, Dave Gettleman, right now, number 4. Take whatever hog molly you want. Take your pick, whatever one you prefer. Mekhi Becton, Tristan Wirfs, Jedrick Wills, Andrew Thomas, whatever one you want out of those 4. That's the consensus 4 that are the best at a tackle position. You take him. You will get the best one in your mind. You don't have to worry about, someone else trading up or someone else, or I guess your main guy going off the board. No worry about that, number 4. Take the best tackle that you think is there and move on. And the other big important area the Giants need, edge rush. They had the Super Bowl, was it 42 last week on Giants-Patriots 07 when the Giants obviously ruined the perfect season of the Patriots. You watch that game. And the main reason why the Giants were so able to get to Tom Brady and able to slow down that historic Patriots offense to hold them only 14 points. Think about that. That game was 17-14. The reason why they're able to slow down Tom Brady, Randy Moss, and that historic, again, Patriots offense back in 07, because they were able to get pressure on the quarterback with 4 people. Their defensive line got a ton of pressure on Brady, and they're able to pressure the quarterback with only 4, meaning they can drop 7. So they had the passing lanes clogged up, and they're getting pressure on Tom Brady. He didn't have time to throw. The Giants haven't had that defensive line or even one specific edge rusher in a while. This is a chance to get some edge rushers, get some pressure on the quarterback. They addressed the interior of the defensive line. They signed Leonard Williams. They drafted Dexter Lawrence last year. Now it's time to get on the edge. Get someone that can, be an edge presence, help the defensive line, help the interior, get some pressure on the outside, and help the rest of your defense by not allowing the quarterback just to sit back there for 4, 5, 6 seconds and pick apart your secondary. So offensive line, please, Dave Gettleman, draft an offensive lineman number 4. Get a center and address the edge presence. Get an edge rusher or 2 to get some pressure on the quarterback so you can really help the rest of your defense. We'll go to the Cowboys. They have 7 picks. I still like the Cowboys roster. Now, they got kind of devastated a little bit in free agency and retirement, but one of their big needs, and probably the most glaring need they need right now, they want to win the division and want to be Super Bowl contenders, which Jerry Jones thinks they are, and Stephen Jones thinks they are, and Cowboys fans think they are. They need to address the secondary. They lost Byron Jones, who signed a mega deal in Miami. They also lost Jeff Heath. So Byron Jones at least was a standout in the secondary, and Jeff Heath was really the anchor, the glue as a safety for that secondary. They lost both of them. And it's really so far, at least on the defense, the lone position, and maybe even on the entire team, that doesn't have a standout player at that position group, right? Wide receiver, you have Amari Cooper. The offensive line, they have a ton of studs on the offensive line. Defensive line, you have DeMarcus Lawrence. Linebacker, you have Leighton Vander Esch. You have Jalen Smith. Really, secondary is one of the few positions on the field that they don't have a standout player that is the top of his game. So both safety and corner address that. Whether you want to go or in the first round, you have Grant Delpit out of LSU, who was a great safety. But secondary is definitely a need the Cowboys have to address, again, both safety and corner. And kind of continue, like front seven depth. Well, we just, kind of ran down the list of why they have some great players. Again, DeMarcus Lawrence, Leighton Vander Esch, Jalen Smith. They have some great front seven players. But they really have nothing behind them. Especially in the defense line, they really need to get some depth, especially on the edge. DeMarcus Lawrence has been great. They lost Robert Quinn in free agency. Get someone on the other side of DeMarcus Lawrence that can help him out and really just get some depth because, God forbid, especially, we saw Leighton Vander Esch miss some games. We saw Jalen Smith. Obviously, we know his injury history coming out of Notre Dame, that scary knee injury he suffered. One of those guys goes down, and again, Vander Esch has shown that he can't, has some trouble staying on the field. You need someone that could come in there, step in, and provide at least, some sort of competent play. So get some front seven depth, which again is what you can get in this draft in the later rounds, and the Cowboys have to do. And finally, get a center. We said the offensive line is very good, still one of the best in all the league. But you had a big hurt when Travis Frederick retired earlier this year, and that really hurt because now the offensive line is still young, but they're still solid and they still have a lot of experience. But obviously, he was the guy, and he was the anchor, and this, that kind of got everyone on the same page. You need a center to replace him. And more importantly, too, you draft a center at some point in this draft, maybe earlier rather than later. You can develop him and build him with this line so this line keeps cohesion, right? They're all still under 30 years old. So you're still able to keep this line together for maybe 2, 3, 4 years. Great cohesion built, and that nothing helps, a young center than when everyone around him is there. So you can get that cohesion, get a center to address that position again with Travis Frederick retiring. Go to the Eagles, 8 picks in this draft. First and foremost, they need a receiver. And you can't draft this, but if you could, I would just draft health for the Eagles because they have been injury ravaged more than any team in the NFL these last few years. Even when they won the Super Bowl, they still were decimated by injuries and still able to overcome that. But receiver especially, they need a receiver not only to step up and play well, just to be healthy. I mean, last year you had both tight ends, Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz, along with Miles Sanders, all have more receptions than any wide receiver. You have a running back, a Miles Sanders, who's not like Christian McCaffrey, who's going to catch 100 balls or 85, 90 balls. This is a guy who still is a run-first kind of guy, jump off in the backfield maybe, but Miles Sanders is definitely not what you would call a pass-catching running back or make that his primary weapon like an Austin Eckler again or like a Christian McCaffrey. But him and both tight ends, your backup tight end and your primary tight end, both had all three of those guys had more receptions than any wide receiver on the team. And part of that is because Alshon Jeffrey, who was your number one, can't stay in the field. He was banged up all year. Deshaun Jackson was a ghost, essentially. He was there and then missed the rest of the year with an injury. So not only do you just need, again, you can't draft health, but you can get a wide receiver early on that is a big, strong body that can help at least give you some sort of durability at the position. Because the Eagles have been unable to find that. Greg Ward, who is a college quarterback, kind of emerged as one of the weapons go-to for Carson Wentz down the stretch. You need a weapon and a bona fide receiver for Carson Wentz that can stay on the field, make plays for him, and more importantly, because despite all these injuries, and again, despite the wide receivers struggling to help the Eagles out, they still made the playoffs, still won the division. So help give Carson Wentz some more weapons, and again, just get someone that can just stay healthy for the Eagles for sure. And they need some help. Sort of like, we talked about front seven depth for the Cowboys. Well, they need back seven depth for the Eagles. They need a leader at linebacker. They could really use someone in the middle there that calls out the signals, that sets the defense. and kind of that sideline to sideline player that now we're starting to see more of at the linebacker position that's starting to slowly integrate their way into the league. And they did trade for, I should say, Darius Slay, which is a huge addition for the secondary. But across them, they could really use some cornerback depth as well, and even at safety as well. They didn't bring back Malcolm Jenkins, so they can really use a nice leader in the background. And again, Darius Slay is the talent. He's the number one corner, but he could use some help on the other side. And again, safety depth as well needs to be addressed. So we'll finish off the NFC East here with the Redskins. And they have 7 picks. They need a lot of help with a lot of different positions. Really, it's funny. The one position the Redskins could afford not to address in the draft is actually defensive line. I really like their defensive line. They have some guys that get after the quarterback. They have a lot of young playmakers there, both interior and on the edge. But with that said, they're still going to draft Chase Young. And they still absolutely should draft Chase Young. Do what the Patriots do. When you have a strength and you can make it better and make it even a bigger strength, do it. That's what they're going to do. Draft Chase Young easy. If you listen to what Ron Rivera says when he talks to the media these last few weeks, it's going to take a Godfather-like offer for him to trade out of number 2. So if you're a team that wants Chase Young or even wants to trade up, let's say, to draft Tua Tagovailoa, if you're afraid that you can't trade up any further and you're afraid that a team is going to take him before you, you're going to have to blow the Redskins away because they want game-changing players. Chase Young is one of those players off the edge, easy pick. It's going to happen more. I would be floored, absolutely floored, if anything other than a number 2, Chase Young is not a Washington Redskin. So that's very easy. Take Chase Young. He is your guy on the edge. Very, very easy money in the bank decision there for Ron Rivera and the Redskins. Move back one to go to linebacker. I mean, they have, for all the defensive line depth and talent they have there already, and they're going to add to when they draft Chase Young, linebacker has nothing. John Bostic is a decent player. Besides that, they have guys you haven't even heard of before. Get some linebackers in there. Get some competent play. Again, especially now with the defensive line wreaking havoc and getting pressure on the quarterback, you need linebackers there to clean up their mess. So really, theoretically, because the defensive line is so good, if you get an average linebacker, their play should be elevated because of how good the defensive line is going to be. So get someone there, get some sort of linebacker depth and some sort of competent play. And I think, too, they definitely use a wide receiver. Terry McLaurin, rookie last year, was a nice receiver. You saw him, he was kind of the go-to for Dwayne Haskins down the stretch, helped that they were teammates at Ohio State. But besides that, is Terry McLaurin the number 1 wide receiver? I would probably say no. He's a very nice receiver and a very nice rookie. Maybe we can develop into that. But right now, there is no one that Dwayne Haskins is throwing to outside of Terry McLaurin. Get a wide receiver. This is the draft to do it. You can get one in the later rounds. Give some sort of talent on the outside, opposite McLaurin, to not only give Haskins a second option, but also McLaurin not just basically get double and triple teamed every single play because he's the only option that Dwayne Haskins has. And finally, get a tackle. They have one in Trent Williams. He'd be great to fit on their offensive line. He does not want to play for Washington. He held out and didn't play at all last year, mostly out of spite. So, he did not like the front office, did not like ownership, did not trust them, more importantly, going back to a health scare he had with a cyst, or I should say a tumor in his head that he had to get removed that Redskins doctors did not find. So he, out of spite, did not play last year, does not trust the Redskins, and he wants out. He's demanding a trade. The Redskins have to trade him. You got to get some sort of value. You're not going to have a franchise tackle sit on the bench and sit on the sidelines for a second straight year. Trade Trent Williams, get some sort of value back, and draft a developmental tackle later on in the draft that you can put there to hopefully protect Dwayne Haskins' blind side going forward. But get something, anything, for Trent Williams. And again, we'll finish up. So that will do for the NFC East. We'll finish up with the Bears. 7 picks, no first rounder this year. Remember, that is still the second first-round pick they gave up in the Khalil Mack trade. This is interesting because the Bears don't have a first-round pick. They have 2 second-round picks and then nothing until the 5th round. So they're really going to need a lot of help unless they trade up to get these 2 second-rounders to really hit and be starters and contributors for the team in 2020. Part of that is the offensive line. They need interior help, especially. The tackles are decent. You had Kyle Long retire, so that's obviously going to be a need. But interiorly, with the guard and the center, they need help more importantly, and that should be the primary focus. 29th last year in run blocking as an offensive line, 20th in pass blocking, according to DVOA, which is, again, a formula that uses efficiency. So, and that is a pretty reliable stat. So, again, almost last in the league in run blocking. bottom third in the league in pass blocking. Not great.